The desert sun was sinking low, bleeding orange and gold across the Arizona sky when Wyatt Cole, a weathered cowboy with dust on his boots and quiet sorrow in his eyes, guided his tired horse down the narrow canyon pass that locals called Dead Man's Gullet. Wyatt wasn't a man who believed in omens, but that evening he felt the land whispering, a strange stillness in the sagebrush, a hush in the distant wind, as if the entire desert held its breath. He had been traveling alone for weeks, drifting from ranch to ranch, chasing work and outrunning memories of a life that once held promise before tragedy left him hardened and hollow. But fate has a way of finding even the loneliest of men. As he rounded a bend between towering red rock walls, the faint echo of muffled cries reached his ears, soft, desperate, almost swallowed by the canyon itself. Wyatt jerked the reins, his instincts sharpening like the edge of a blade. His hand hovered over the worn handle of his Colt as he dismounted and moved toward the sound. When he spotted them, his breath caught in his chest. Two Apache girls, no older than 8 or 9, tied to a fallen mesquite tree, their faces bruised, their wrists scraped raw, their eyes wide with terror but also the fierce defiance of their people. Wyatt's jaw clenched. Someone had beaten them, stripped them of their dignity, and abandoned them like animals. He whispered gently to calm them, cutting the ropes with his knife as he scanned the canyon for danger. Their small bodies trembled as they clung to him, whispering in broken English, "Bad men, they come back." Wyatt lifted his rifle, his voice low and steady. "Not tonight, they won't." Moments later, the ground began to tremble with hoofbeats. 4 outlaw riders emerged, guns drawn, their sneers widening when they spotted Wyatt with the girls. The leader, a scar-faced brute named Clayton Briggs, spat tobacco and laughed. "Boys, look what the lonely cowboy found. Hand him over, Cole, we got business with the little redskins." Wyatt stepped in front of the girls, his legs planted like oak roots. "You'll get to them over my dead body." The air tightened, then gunfire exploded through the canyon like thunder. Wyatt dove behind a rock, returning fire with deadly precision. 2 outlaws dropped instantly. The others charged, bullets sparking against stone. Wyatt's horse reared, but the cowboy moved with the grace of a man whose life depended on every heartbeat. One final shot cracked through the narrowing space, and Clayton fell backward, his face frozen in shock. Silence swept in. Wyatt exhaled shakily as dust settled around him. He checked the girls, frightened but unharmed, and gathered them close. They pointed to the north, whispering the word mother. Wyatt nodded and set up camp, feeding them, protecting them through the night as they slept curled near the fire like frightened fawns. He didn't know why the universe had chosen him, a lonely drifter, to rescue these 2 Apache children. But in their presence, something in his heart shifted, as if the desert wind had carried purpose back into his life. When dawn broke, he placed the girls gently on his horse and began traveling across the vast plains toward Apache territory, not knowing that his act of courage would bring him face to face with a woman whose arrival would shake the very ground beneath his boots. Because when a mother comes to repay a debt of blood and honor, she never arrives empty-handed. Approx. 2,000 words, single long pay as the rising sun washed the plains in pale gold guided his weary horse, the 2 rescued girls wrapped in his coat and dozing against his back. He had barely slept, staying alert through the night, scanning every rustle of brush and distant coyote howl for threats. The outlaw gang might have been defeated, but Wyatt knew men like Clayton Briggs never traveled without reinforcements. Danger still prowled the edges of the desert. Yet the girls trusted him completely, gripping his shirt as if he were the only safe thing left in the world. When he reached the mouth of a wide valley, sacred Apache ground, the air shifted. A soft drumbeat pulsed in the distance, steady as a heartbeat. Wyatt dismounted slowly, raising his hands in peace. From behind the juniper trees, a group of Apache warriors emerged, bows drawn, eyes sharp with suspicion. The girls awoke and immediately called out in their language. The warriors lowered their weapons, and then she appeared. Like a vision carved from fire and storm, the mother stepped forward, a tall Apache woman with raven-black hair braided with feathers, a commanding presence, and eyes that burned with both fury and gratitude. Her name was Naya. The moment her daughters ran into her arms, she dropped to her knees, holding them close, her face streaked with tears of relief. Wyatt turned away respectfully, giving her a moment of private grief and joy, something he had long forgotten the taste of. When she finally approached him, her voice was low but strong. "You saved my children. That is a debt our people do not forget." Wyatt shook his head. I just did what any man should. No, she said firmly. Many men would have left them to die. She studied him with a deep, unreadable gaze, as if searching his soul. Then she signaled the warriors to step aside. What happened next left Wyatt frozen in shock. Naya removed a small, hide-wrapped bundle from her satchel and opened it carefully. Inside lay a ceremonial blade, beautiful, ancient, adorned with turquoise stone. This is the blade of the dawn, she said. It has been in my family for generations. It is given only to those who earn the highest honor. Wyatt raised his hands. Ma'am, I can't accept something like that. But Naya simply closed his fingers around the hilt. You will, because this is not a gift. It is a bond. He didn't understand until she stepped closer, meeting his eyes with fierce intensity. When you saved my daughters, you became tied to our blood. From this day forward, our tribe stands with you. You are under our protection. Wyatt staggered back. I don't need protection. She tilted her head, her voice softening. Everyone needs someone, Wyatt Cole. Even you. Before he could respond, a sudden shout erupted from the warriors. A cloud of dust rose on the ridge. Riders. Lots of them. Wyatt's blood ran cold. Clayton's reinforcements, 20 armed men charging straight into Apache land. Wyatt cursed under his breath and reached for his rifle, but Naya placed a hand on his chest. Stand behind me. Her voice was like iron. The Apache warriors advanced swiftly, forming a defensive line. The outlaw riders stormed forward, guns blazing, but the Apache were ready. Arrows flew like lightning. The desert erupted into chaos. Wyatt fired beside them, fighting with the same grit he had shown the night before. The battle was fierce, violent, dust and blood mixing in the scorching air. But the outlaws had made the fatal mistake of riding into sacred territory. Within minutes, the survivors were fleeing, stumbling over rocks as they abandoned their dead, and disappeared into the distant hills. The valley grew quiet again. Wyatt wiped sweat and dust from his brow, breathing hard. The warriors retrieved their arrows. Naya approached him once more. Now, do you understand? Wyatt nodded slowly. Yeah, I reckon I do. She smiled then, a rare, soft smile that lit her stern features with unexpected warmth. Come to our camp, eat, rest. You are family now. Wyatt hesitated. He'd spent years running from connection, from roots, from the pain of losing people he once cared about. But when the two little girls tugged his hand, their eyes full of gratitude and affection, something inside him finally gave way. He followed them into the valley, into the firelit circle of a people who treated him not as a stranger, but as a brother forged in battle. That night, as the stars shimmered over the desert and the tribe shared food, laughter, and gratitude, Wyatt realized something he had long forgotten. He wasn't alone anymore, and maybe, just maybe, the world still had a place for a man like him. As the fire crackled and the girls leaned against him, he looked toward the sky and whispered a silent prayer of thanks for the unexpected family he had found, and for the chance to start again. And to all watching this story, if you want more powerful Wild West tales of courage, honor, redemption, and heart, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories ride on.